Namaste yogis, welcome. Melissa here from Mystical Stone. So for today's restorative class, we're going to start laying down on our backs on a prop so you can have a bolster, a pillow. If you have blocks at home, you can make yourself a little slide like this so that you minimize the arch on the back. You don't have to. Like if you do enjoy back bends and you want to go a little deeper, you can also rest the prop just straight down onto the floor. In that case, you may also get the extra blocks for extra support under the hips. Once more, depending what feels right. If you do have a pillow, if you don't have a sturdy pillow at home, you can fold the blanket, just roll it into a large noodle so that you can get something just a little thicker so you can get that nice back bend effect. All right, so I have the 2 blocks and I have extra pillows and 1 strap. So you can have the strap. If you have the yoga strap at home, just make a large loop like this. Or if you have a scarf, a belt, just something large that it's not gonna give in so that you can enjoy traction for your pelvis. All right, so I'm gonna do my first asana without the blocks. I'm just gonna lay down on the bolster. Now I'll show you a few things. So once you go into it, if you want like a deep back bend, you can go a little closer to the bolster and go into that back bend. Everybody has a different curvature of the spine. So for some will feel really nice if you go really close to the bolster. It will just make your lumbar spine go into that back bend. Not everybody will enjoy that. So you may actually go a little farther away from the bolster and get the space between the shoulder blades right at the edge so that you can get that extra demand on the thoracic spine, which usually curves. So once you get it the other way, you feel that nice stretch across the pectoral muscles. In my case, my head falls back. I have a lot of tension on my neck. I have a neck surgery, so my neck is always extra protective. And so I like to have an extra support under my head. So it can be 1 or 2 blocks under the head, just so that you can create that neutrality of the neck. You can roll an extra blanket to get that little pillow. And if you want to do the loop, you're gonna pass it first right on your waist. And then you may bring your feet very gracefully, like I'm doing, in. And so you're going to pass it just under your feet and rest your feet down on the floor. So you're gonna make the loop as big as you want it to be so that your feet are far away from your body so that you're not going to the hip opener is not too intense. If your knees relax comfortably towards the floor, you can just relax here. If not, you can have extra props and place them right under the legs just for that extra support. And then take your time to adjust your posture. Relax your hands by your sides, palms facing up. Close your eyes and breathe. Remember, these are only options. If the bolster doesn't suit your back today, you can go straight on the floor for Supta Baddha Konasana. You could still do the strap if you want that extra demand. What the strap is doing is pulling your pelvis down and creating space between the bottom rib cage and the crest of your pelvis. This is a nice way just to release your lumbar. It will help to balance your hips and to equalize your pelvis, or to bring your pelvis back to neutral. You want to watch for the lower back arch. If you know you have a deep lower back arch, you may not bring the bolster too close down into the lower back so that you have a little more of a neutral back and more demand on the upper part of your spine. All right, so release your hands by your sides, palms facing up, and you're gonna take your arms into a position that feels right for your shoulders. So if you start trying, you'll notice that if you bring your arms towards the T position, the stretch goes a little bit deeper. So that may not feel good for you. So just make sure you play around until you find that stretch that's just right. And then Observe your body. If there are any other adjustments that you need to make, you go for them now. Relax your face and your jaw. And then without changing the breathing pattern, observe it. Practicing apayapa, pranayama, breath awareness. No need to control the breath. Just learning what your breath is all about today. You may notice the length. You may notice the pace. You may notice the sensations. What part of your breath is more comfortable, the inhalation or the exhalation? The breath reflects the state of the mind and also the state of your physical body and your energetic body. Today we're starting with this opening position, opening the heart center or the Anahata chakra. Because while we stay here, we're going to start creating that awareness of the rib cage, the expansion of the rib cage, and so that we can get into the lower lobes of the lungs. So go ahead and start guiding the breath. The next time you inhale, right down into your tummy and expand. At the top of the inhalation, you may hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale. Let all the air go at your own pace. Draw the navel into the spine. And when you're ready, inhale to the top of your lungs. And when there is no more space for air, you're gonna hold gently for 1, 2, 3, 4, and let the air go through your nostrils, allowing your body to return to center as your navel releases towards the spine. Let's do it one more time. Inhale to the top of your lungs, inflate your belly and your rib cage all the way up to the collarbone. And then exhale, let all the air go and let your navel drop. Return to your normal breath and bring your thumbs and index to touch for number 1. Thumbs touch the middle fingers, that's 2. Thumbs and ring fingers unite, that's 3. And thumbs touch the pinkies, and that's 4. Next time you inhale, count 4, using your fingers from index to pinkies. And exhale 4 from index to pinkies. If you like working with mantras, you may repeat sa, ta, na, ma as you inhale, and sa, ta, na, ma as you exhale, or continue to count 1 to 4, whatever resonates with you. The mantra Satanama means life, birth, life, transformation or death, and rebirth. And you can repeat those words if you prefer, just to let that sink into your consciousness, or continue with Satanama or 1, 2, 3, 4. I will leave you to it. Don't let your mind wander. Let us take one more breath like this. Relax your mudra, relax your breath, observe it. We'll take one more breath, full deep breath. And when you're ready, wiggle your fingers, your toes. If you have a belt and you can undo the knot, you can do that. If you need to bring your feet up, just be mindful as you free yourself. Release your feet on the floor, extend the legs, and take a few moments, just allowing the blood to rush down towards the feet, and just notice the sensations as that happens, and feel your blood circulating back down, and observe the breath for a few moments. Are there any involuntary movements, any twitching, or any sensation you may catch apart from your legs and your feet? Notice your hips, your back. Again, I move slowly to get out of this posture. Instead of coming straight up, we're gonna slide sideways. So when you're ready, bend your knees and bring your foot soles to the floor, and then roll onto your favorite side. Lift your hips, move to the side, and then glide down onto the mat. You can use your arms to support your head. We'll take a few moments here on your fetal position. Notice your energy, notice your breath. You take your hand to help yourself up, place it in front of your chest, and next time you exhale, push yourself up. We're gonna take the bolster and just move it across the mat, and we're gonna lay over the right side. So you can have your blocks, if you have blocks, or an extra pillow right at the top of the mat to support your head. You can have your also your pillows or extra blankets just for extra padding in case you want to try it. So we're gonna go right ahead onto the right side, lay down on the right, and you want to keep your hips on the floor to the best of your ability. If the bolster is too large, you can fold a pillow, make yourself a large or thick noodle, and place that instead. And then let your shoulder go down, rest your head on the blocks, and relax your arms in front of you. If you want, you can have a pillow or a blanket in between your knees. You can relax here and breathe. You could also bring your arm overhead and stretch, and then rest your arm over your ear. You could also extend your legs, both your legs, down on the mat, stack them. You can either look at your legs and make sure that you are maybe at the center or edge of the mat, but you're in one straight line. Then, depending on your shoulders, you could hold this pose, or if you go into the arrow pose a little bit more intense, and this might not work for your shoulders, so please do watch it. You may extend the bottom arm, rest your head down on the arm, or you can have a block on top of the arm. And interlace your fingers, reaching up with the top arm, and extend your index for Jupiter Mudra. Then relax. If you're not able to relax here, or there is a lot of sensation on your hip or your lower back or your shoulders, please do change and rest your head on a prop. Bring your arms in front of the chest instead. Maybe even bend your knees again. You're still gonna get a nice stretch across the hip and the side, which is basically what we want. We want to massage the side of your body, and we do want to be able to expand the top side. So in this case, the left rib cage. I'm going to start working with Ida Nadi, or the lunar energy within, soothing and cooling energy that runs across the left side of the body. I will leave you to your breath. If your mind starts wandering, maybe repeat your mantra Satanama as you inhale and Satanama as you exhale, or continue counting to 4 if that feels right for you. Let us take one more breath here, full deep breath. If you are in your arrow pose or your arm is overhead, you may release your mudra and bring your arm in front of your chest. You can place a hand on the floor for extra support as you start bending your knees. Be mindful. Stack your knees. You can have a pillow if you're not already there. And then very slowly, you're gonna bring the bottom arm in front of you and rest your head either on the floor or on your blocks, whatever feels right. And we'll stay here for a few moments just to check with the breath, with the body. Without rushing and being very aware of our movement, we're gonna take the top hand to help ourselves up on the next exhalation. slowly turn on to the other side. Once again, we start with knees bent just to check in how it works, this posture from this side, because each side is different. You can have a blanket or pillow between the knees. Rest your head on your blocks, rest your shoulder on the floor. You can stay here. If you did the arrow on one side, you can try matching this side, but remember, if there is pain, pinching sensation, we don't force it. We just stay where the body allows. Check in, make sure that we get to see the toes, but not the whole legs. Otherwise, we're gonna be on a V shape. I was trying to get into that straight line, making sure the hips are okay. You can reach your top arm towards the top of your mat, or you can extend your bottom arm and rest your head either on the arm or on a block. Adjust that. Some people like this stretch. My neck doesn't care for that one too much, so I'll do the block instead again. You can interlace your fingers, and this time see if you can interlace your fingers differently. If the first time you had the right thumb on top, now we're gonna get the left thumb on top and cross the other way. Then extend your index. If you're not doing Jupiter Mudra, you can rest your arms in front of your chest, one on top of the other, that's okay. Whichever version of this pose you're doing, you do want to check in with your hips, with your back, and then do your very best to relax as you breathe slowly. You may return to your mantra if you're practicing that today, or you're counting, or simply observe the breath and don't let your mind wander. We are massaging the left side against the prop as we breathe in and out. And we are trying to expand the right side, connecting with Pingala Nadi, solar energy, warm and sharp energy that drones within. I will leave you to it. Don't let your mind wander. If you went into a version of the pose and your body doesn't like it anymore, give yourself permission to change it. It's okay.
Let us take one more breath here, full deep breath. If you went into arrow pose or you have your mudra, you're gonna release your mudra first and bring your top hand in front of you. Use that hand for support, lift your head, and then you may take your block out of the way as you bring that arm in, that bottom arm, and then you can put your blocks back under the head. And then slowly and mindfully bend your knees if they're not already there. Relax here and breathe. Notice your breath. If you went from one pose to the other, if there is any shift, any sensation that you catch here. We're gonna take one more breath, full deep breath. And using the top hand on your next exhalation, slowly push yourself up. You may put your blocks out of the way. Keep your bolster handy, but have it on the side of the mat. If you have a bolster at home, just keep it by the handle with your dominant hand next to your mat. Then if you usually have props support under the head, like a blanket or a block, we're gonna take it off for now because we want to make sure that we're not hyperextending the cervical spine. Then bring your foot soles onto the floor, squeeze your bum, lift your hips, and place your bolster right under the hips. And once you get it there, you might push it down a little bit so that you're not going onto a dip hinge. You're actually allowing your spine to slouch towards the floor. Bring your knees in, maybe move side to side here like you would do when your hips are on the floor. And maybe hold onto the top of the knees, the shins. And just taking a few moments here to get a deeper extension across the hips. We will use gravity for the next asana. And as you take your next breath, extend your legs towards the sky and allow your knees to be right over the hips and your ankles over the knees. Then let your legs go wide. As they widen, you can hold onto the sides of the legs, keeping the elbows on the floor and drawing your shoulders into their sockets. And this is if your hips don't like to go into a wider range of motion, that's fine. Or if your hips do enjoy this hip opener, you're gonna let them go wider. Your toes are pointing out to the side, so you're externally rotating your hips. Make sure that the groin stretch is not too intense. You're gonna feel your inner thigh stretching. You're gonna feel the inner part of the knees, but you don't want like the inner edge, but you don't want anything pinching, especially across the hips, the knees. If it feels right for you, bring your arms at a goalpost posture so you get a gentle stretch across the upper body too. Unless you're holding onto your legs, that's good. You want to let gravity take over if your hips allow. Relax your feet, your legs. Relax your glutes. If you need to bend your knees a bit, you do that. That will remove the sensation on the inner part of the knees. Just make sure this pose feels right for you. Deep breathing into the belly, into the side ribs and chest, and then allowing the navel to drop. If you want to return to your mantra Satanama, you're welcome to do that. Or if you want to do your breath counting or just breath awareness, Sapayapa, Pranayama. Let us take one more breath here, full deep breath. Before we bring the knees together, bend your knees a little more. You can place your hands on the outside of your legs and use your hands, your arms to slowly help your knees together on your next exhalation. Once your knees come to touch, you're gonna hold them in towards the chest, maybe gently rock side to side. The next stretch is totally up to your hips. We're gonna take the knees away from the body and one at a time, bring your feet onto the floor. So for some of us, just by moving the knees away from the hips or right away from the belly, will give us enough of a stretch on the hip flexors. But maybe you start walking your feet away from the bolster and to get a little deeper into the hips. Depending on your lower back, you can stay with your knees bent or any place that feels right for you, or you may go into full extension of the knees. Do adjust your head. Make sure that it doesn't feel like it's falling back. Draw your shoulder blades together and then release your shoulders down. You may relax your hands by your sides, palms facing up. Take a few moments here and breathe. Any version of this posture is fine. Make sure it's just suitable for your hips and your lower back. The next stretch, it all depends on your hips, your lower back, and your knees this time. So if you have your legs extended, bring your legs a little closer together. They don't have to touch, just make sure it feels okay for your body. Flex your feet and turn your knees to face one another. Your toes may not touch. So this is just to get a nice stretch to the other sides of your legs, your outer line of hamstrings. If your knees, your hips, your lower back are complaining, feel free to start bending your knees and keep your knees closer together, but do roll the weight onto the edges of your feet. So getting into internal rotation of the hips, whether your legs are extended or not, just make sure that your knees are not torquing. Maybe extend your arms to the sides at a T position, or maybe bring them overhead and then relax. So we're not actively stretching the arms, we're just bringing them to a position that feels right. Then we let go. However, the legs are engaged, and we're just actively internally rotating the hips as the toes and the knees face one another. We'll take one more breath, full deep breath. And when you're ready, return to center, relax your feet. Adjust your arms comfortably by your sides, maybe at an A-frame. Bend your knees and bring your footstools to the floor. Squeeze your buttocks, tuck your tailbone, pick up the hips, and move your bolster out of the side. Then to the side, and then rest your hips again down, or your pelvis returns to the floor. Extend your legs, and then observe. Notice how close to the floor you feel. This last one is a great release for your sacrum. It addresses your sacral chakra or sacrum chakra. It also helps if you have SI joint pain. For the next asana, you may help yourself with a strap, but you don't have to. And you can have extra props for the next one. So I'm gonna pass my bolster onto the left side of the mat. So if you have it on the right side of the mat, go ahead and place it on the left side. If you have extra blankets, pillows, or blocks, and you want to have them over your bolster, you're welcome to do that. I do need extra height to get more comfortable. Remember, we are in restorative, so we are not really trying to go too deep into the stretches, just gentle shapes that will open the channels of energy. So once you have your props on the left side, as many as you need, pick up the hips again, squeezing your bum. And this time you're gonna move the hips towards the right. Then extend the left leg down onto the floor. Bring your right knee up towards the chest and go into a spinal twist. So actually it's gonna be pelvic rotation towards the left, and guide your knee across the body and towards the bolster or pillows or whatever props you have on your side. No matter how high your props are, just make sure you feel supported. You can have support under the head as well. And you could be looking at your right hand if that feels okay for your neck. If you like working with mudra, you may go into Apana mudra, Prana mudra. So you're gonna bring your hands into peace sign. Bring the tips of the index, the ring finger and the middle finger to touch the thumb. And you're extending your index and your middle finger. Or you can relax your hands too. You can turn back to your mantra, or you can Observe your breath. Let us take one more breath here. Full deep breath. Release your mudra. Very slowly and mindfully bring your head back to center. Bring your knee up towards the sky as you derotate your pelvis. Rest your foot on the ground. Bend the left knee. Pick up the hips and return to center. Extend your legs and take a few moments here. Observe. Just like we did on one side, we'll do on the other. When you're ready, you're gonna pass your props onto the right side of the mat. Watch for your shoulder. Try not to lift, especially if you have a bolster, don't lift it too much so that your shoulder doesn't complain later. We're gonna try to keep the same height on the other side. Unless your hip needs more, then we'll pat it even more. Then when you're ready, bring your foot soles on the ground, pick up your hips and move them to the left side of the mat, keeping your shoulders where they are. It's just the hips. Then extend your right leg and bring your left knee in, go onto your pelvic rotation, resting the knee on your props. Adjust your arms at a T position. Maybe adjust your head towards the left arm. Close the eyes and relax. If you were working with your prana mudra, you can return to it. Peace sign, palms facing upward. And observe the quality of the breath. Prana Mudra centers the energy across the Anahata chakra. So as your arms are extended out to the sides, we're just allowing the prana to travel just across from one arm into the other. Remember, the Anahata chakra, actually, physically speaking, it affects your lungs, your shoulders, your arms. Don't let your mind wander. Notice if the posture feels different, if the breath feels different. Let us take one more breath here. Release your mudra. Very mindfully, when you're ready, bring your knee up and then release it onto the floor, or release your foot on the floor and then adjust your hips. Oh yeah, by the way, I did tell you that we were going to use the strap and never did, but it was just to guide the knee. But sorry guys, I forgot. I'm just feeling it right next to me. I'm like, oh yeah. Okay, so we're gonna extend the legs and balance the hips, balance the pelvis. We have support under the head. Let's see if we can try just to be in a plain old-fashioned Shavasana, flat on the mat, and see how that lands in the body. So we have worked the spine all six ways. We went into side bends, rotations, back bends, and forward bends. And when your legs were towards the sky, you had more of that slouchy position for your back. And we worked on releasing the sacrum and the hips. So notice if that actually has any effect right now as you lay flat, if there is much sensation across the hips, or perhaps you feel more grounded just across the pelvis, the legs. We did work some work for the hamstrings too. So just really checking in from toes to crown of the head, checking in with the shoulders, with the neck. It is your choice if you stay flat on the mat, you can go onto your butterfly position. Or if you prefer to have extra support, you can take your bolster once again, and this time you may place it right under the knees. You can extend your legs and relax in the supported Shavasana, or once more, you can go onto a very gentle butterfly position. Whichever pose you choose, just make sure that you are very relaxed and grounded. Notice the quality of your breath, any sensations you may catch in your body. And also notice the quality of your thoughts. We worked on unblocking stagnant energy from the nadis or the channels of energy. So usually when we do that deep work, we might get some emotions that arise, some thoughts or sensations that got stuck at one point. They might seem to come out of nowhere, and just acknowledge them so that you can release them on your next exhalation. You can stay here on your Shavasana or your butterfly position if you want. We're gonna do some pranayama, so you can do it from here if you choose to. If you rather do it from a seated position, then when you are ready, bring your knees up and extend your legs if you are on your butterfly. And just get some movement to your legs, your arms. Extend your arms maybe to your sides or overhead. If you have a bolster, you can extend your legs and squeeze your bum and pick up the hips, pressing your legs against the bolster just to get a nice bridge pose, Setu Bandhasana kind of extension across the back. Make sure that your neck is relaxed. There is no strain going on the upper spine. And then release when you're ready. You may bend your knees and bring your foot soles to the floor or to the prop, and then roll over your side if you're coming up onto your Sukhasana. We'll take a few moments here on a fetal position. Once again, checking in. And then use your top hand to slowly help yourself up on your next exhalation. Once again, if you're stayed down on the floor, you can continue to relax on your chosen position. If you have a props that you would like to use for your seated position, go ahead and place them under your hips, onto your seats, I guess. And then tilt your pelvis forward. So whether it's a blanket or blocks, you do want to make sure that you're able to go on to almost an anterior pelvic tilt, and then your lower back arch is still present. So you don't want to tuck your tailbone in and lose the curvature of the spine. Let your shoulders land over at the hips. You can have extra props under your knees if you like. And we'll just take a few moments first to just ground. So you may rest your palms against your legs, against your knees. Keep your shoulders down. Tuck your chin just slightly, not too much, just a bit, so that you can feel the elongation at the back of the neck. It's like if you were being pulled upwards from the crown of the head. Just return to your breath, apayapa, pranayama, just breath awareness here. So at the beginning of the practice, we did the Satanama breath, counting 4 on the inhalation and 4 on the exhalation. Now we may take it just a little bit further, but this is only an option. We're gonna flip our palms up and bring your thumbs and index to touch. And once again, this is gonna be sa or 1, ta when your thumbs touch the middle finger, or 2, na for the ring finger, or 3, and ma for the pinkies, or number 4, whichever version you are doing. Now, as you take your next inhalation, we start from the index for sa, ta, na, ma. You may hold the breath for sa, ta, na, ma. Exhale, sa, ta, na, ma. Hold, sa, ta, na, ma. Inhale, sa, ta, na, ma. Hold, sa, ta, na, ma. Exhale, sa, ta, na, ma. Hold, sa, ta, na, ma. Continue on your own. You may repeat in your mind, you may repeat out loud. You may skip kumbhaka or the pause at the top of the inhalation. All depends on how it feels. Then you may skip shunyaka, the pause at the bottom of the exhalation. Especially don't practice kumbhaka and shunyaka if you have any concerns with blood pressure, higher or lower, heart condition, eye pressure, maybe you're pregnant or suspect you are, or any other reason, maybe simply it doesn't feel right, then listen to your inner teacher. He or she is always correct. Find your rhythm, don't let your mind wander. I will leave you to it for a few rounds. Last breath. When you finish Unyaka or the pause at the bottom of the exhalation, release your mudras and observe your breath as it comes and goes naturally. If you are laying down, you may bring your knees together if you're in butterfly position and extend your legs. You may give yourself a nice stretch. And at your own time, find your way onto your side. And then slowly and gently, using your top hand, you may find your way onto your seated position. Once you find your comfortable seated position, bring your hands together at the center of the heart. Let us join our palms together in Anjali Mudra Namaste. Observing our energy, observing our bodies. We're going to seal our practice with our metta mantra. You may repeat or maybe just observe, listen. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I be brave. May I be peaceful. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you be brave. May you be peaceful. May all be happy. May all be healthy. May all be safe. May all be brave. May all be peaceful. Inhale through your nostrils and expand. And through your nostrils, exhale. Inhale to Om. Om. Observe. Tuck your chin onto your chest and open your eyes. Bring your gaze forward and shower yourself with your own good vibes. And remember to use your own energy and shake off wherever stagnant energy is on your energetic field. Shake it off. You don't take it with you. Thank you so much. Namaste.